Take it away, Tabby.
Good, good morning. Good morning, Sharon. Good morning to our viewers. It's good to be here with you this
It's good to be
Friday
here
morning.
too.
It's the end of the week, the end of
Yes.
the first week of September. We're
TGIF.
approaching slowly the end of the year. At the beginning of the year, you thought it was going to be so long. Now we're already in September. So good morning to you. Remember to share the live, let others know that we are on this morning.
Correct.
We're ready to bring to you a lot of information. Sharon, how are you?
I am good. Watching Edward Broom saying here, keep Sugate alive. It is alive and well. How could we forget Sugate, That living room. Sue handles all the arrangements, the agreements. And he said the government taking care of things.
Yes, we can't forget. There's
No.
so you see, they give us so much information, so many things to
Yeah.
work with.
Yeah.
That it seems as if we forget, but we haven't forgotten about Sue. But they can't help themselves. So every day it's something new. But of course, Sue remains there as an issue that they have never really dealt with or responded to adequately, so that the population understands what really was that connection between the vice president and his tenant, and how that affected contracts that we have that they may have received in the country.
Correct. And I just love how these things happen because as you said, the vice president and the tenant, you had the lighted wire and the sponge. Quite a way to remember these things. Martha Harris, good to see you. Here's the
Good
Prince
morning.
George, Eastern Duke, good to see you as well. Quite a way, Tabitha, to remember these very burning issues. And we may make light of it, but that was such an indictment on the Philippines government, and who at the core of its being is corruption, 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 corruption.
Yeah, it's well, he is the core, but you see, I have a. It's one thing if one person decides to go in a particular direction, but if others decide to follow, then they have to be a part of that same cabal as well. And while he is the head, he has a lot of followers, and so they all have to be in the same basket. And I wouldn't say one against the other. I think they all need to just go, because they seem not to be able to speak out against it to stop him from going down the negative road, and so they all need to just leave, as far as I'm concerned.
But I
So
love
good
what you said
morning,
there,
everyone.
Tabby. They
Huh?
all need to just go. They
They
all
just
need to just go.
we
Pack
fed
the
up,
bags
Sharon.
and
Fed up.
go. We want all 260 odd persons who have just joined us to share the live. That others, as Tabby said, gets credible and valid information. We love your company, guys. Pull up a cup of something with us. I got some lovely black coffee. My wife brewed this morning. Thanks to her.
I just like the sound of your wife coming out of your voice.
Oh
I love it.
yes. Helping.
Good morning to Sharon's wife. Hope she's
Good
enjoying
morning.
her trip.
Tyler, you heard that? Tabby says good morning. Victoria and Anton, Forbes, Meduze, good to have you. Beatrice Selby is here too. Good to have the whole team. Do let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. Dolly Anderson is here too. Tessa Isaacs, Graves Andy. All the Graves Andys I know, without exception, are very nice people. Are very, very nice people. Fidel Albert, I know you're a nice person too. Good to have you guys on the live this morning. Guys, I want to remind you, because I know, when you reach a certain age, you don't remember everything like that. You got to get a little reminder. You got to get a little reminder so on every now and again. We're going to be in Atlanta, in particular, Georgia, on the 16th, folks. And I'm looking forward also to being in Washington on the 27th and the 28th. We know it's causing them boys on the other side some runs, as we say. But we're going to be there. I want to bring you guys all that's happening at that conference in Washington on the 27th and the 28th. Folks, we're going to bring it live and direct to you. Live and direct. A lot of eyes on that conference. And we just might fly Tabby in, privately.
Sharon, you're doing well. Something is working for you over there, Sharon.
Who Vex?
So good morning, Erwin. Good morning, Donna. Good morning, Forbes. Forbes said my wife sounds so spicy. Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And you know what? I see Earl says, Tabitha, love your APNU AFC colors. Right? You have to let Cher do likewise. I hear you there. I hear you there. I
It
hear
wasn't
you, Earl.
intentional, but yes, thank you.
I see you there. I see you there, Earl. Florence Jacobs Ward is there as well, and Veronica Primo Rollins and Brenda Bramford. Good to see you, Brenda. All the other folks who are joining us around the world. You know, the numbers are going up. Thank you guys so much. Veronica says, can't wait to see you in Georgia. I can't wait to see you tonight, Veronica. Like I could left now. Left a little early. 8 days later. It's the 8th, so in 8 days' time, we'll see you guys in Georgia next weekend.
Awesome, awesome. Good morning, Silbert Stewart. Good morning from Brooklyn. Good morning, Earl Cook. Put all of them in a 40-foot container and push it. Oh
Correct.
my goodness.
Dash all of them. Dash all of them in that container. But folks, we're happy. I see June and Chanel Will says happy Friday. Chanel, that is the phrase self. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. I know some of you have had a hectic work. We give you Skype this week. Well, that's on you. But if you've worked, you produce the goods, you draw the pay, kudos to you folks. Thank God it's Friday. I can say that. Beryl Crawford, Orwin Don, Lynn Finance. How you doing, Lynn? Thank God it's Friday. Beatrice Selby and all the other folks. Mo Williams. Folks, want to encourage you as you come on the line this morning to share the live for us. Smash that emoji, but let's see how you guys are feeling this Friday morning, folks, and partner with us as well. You know, sometimes I don't want us to get that kind of rap like you gotta get big money to donate to our program and contribute. Sometimes you know some church you go to people say you gotta dress up and you gotta be rich and so on. That's not in keeping with who the Lord Jesus Christ is. You see? But we want you guys to help us. And we know that lots of you are excited to help us to keep moving from point A to point B. And folks, small amounts are welcome too. You know, we don't judge. We don't judge, Tabby. Right? Small amounts are welcome too. And we do have the facility, folks, we can accept your debit and your credit card as well, your contribution via debit and credit cards. And you know, all of the other platforms are just as useful, whether it's Cash App and Zelle and PayPal. And we try to get as many as possible because we know we have a wide array. Y'all can't make up your own mind. Y'all want everything. You want Cash App, you want MMG, you want debit card, everything. So we got to try to just suit you all and make it as convenient as possible for you guys to be able to contribute to our program. We want to thank you guys who do. Please and thank you. It means the world to us. Tabby, we got some things we want to discuss this morning. Don't we, Tabby?
Yes. So let's get into it. What's first on the agenda, Sharon?
Well, look what's percolating besides the coffee and the little What do you have this morning, Tabby? Hot water?
No, I have my regular ginger. I'm doing ginger.
Excellent. Yes. Excellent. Good for the system.
You know what? You don't like my hot water. I don't appreciate
Excellent. So, folks, one of the things that we are tracking in the morning paper, there's an interesting letter in this morning's paper, letter to the editor, that is, and it's penned by one David Noel. And apparently, Yogurt Chase Green took some swipes at the mayor on a recent morning program, a radio program, took some swipes at the mayor. Now, David Noel has come out and said, no, Chase Green. You see, back up yourself. The mayor has done much more than you did in your term as mayor, so you're giving him a bad rap. Here, Noel in this letter says that Chase Green, she publicly is trying to embarrass the former mayor, Ubrat Narain, who has solved many issues for the citizens of the city, right, than she did. And he goes on to say, I can attest to this by way of documentation, by virtue of proof and minutes of meetings held with me and her officers. Yep, and then he references a particular issue here. You know, I would say Chase Green wasted her tenure as mayor. Totally wasted it. Totally wasted it. Right? And life is about stages. The fact that at her tender age, you know, she is still in the scrum and the hustlings there at City Hall, right? It's very, very telling.
Tender age, yeah.
Yeah?
You said tender age?
That's the only thing you heard. The only thing you got from that. You know, it's very, very telling. So I like what David Noel says in this letter to the editor in Starbucks News today. Don't come wrong with funny, Tabby.
You see, I don't understand the attempt to try to tarnish the former mayor's reputation and his time in office. I don't understand why it is that that is the single important thing at this particular juncture of our history. With all that is required of the city of Georgetown, all that is required of the city councilors of the city of Georgetown, with where it is that we should be going as a society and as a city, that the former mayor, who is now still a councillor on the mayor city council, finds the time to try to besmirch a former mayor of the city. I find it, it's almost as if when you don't have anything of substance, you have to go into the gutter. And then you have to find propaganda to try to besmirch somebody. So I'm not sure why that is their main agenda item at this particular point. Because it's obvious that people in the city of Georgetown, they love Ubraj Narai. Nobody is perfect. He may have made mistakes, but the people loved him, and they loved him because he was down to earth, because he always met them where they were, and he tried his best to help them whenever situations were known to him. And so people understand that he was a man of the people, or he is a man of the people, and he was always at their level. And so no matter how much Chase Green tries to go on a radio show, whatever it is, that doesn't change the way, and it wouldn't change the way the people see Ubraj, because he was a good mayor. He was a good mayor, and to try to find ways. And no, you see, my issue is the mindset of the people. Why would this be the main issue of contention at this particular point? There's so many things to deal with.
Correct. Ubraj got stuff done. He connected in a way to the people, is beloved in a way with the people that Chase Green never did, connected with them, never was loved by them in that way. And Chase Green is just jealous. She's jealous, the young man. This is nothing new under the sun, right? Saul Slade 1,000, David Slade 10,000. That's the kind of jealousy that happened here, you see. And she's vexed also that she was not made mayor for life. She thought that when she was going there, she was going to sit down there forever and ever and ever. And then when you're big and you're done with the mayorship, like they had to conclude her mayorship. Where did she go? Where is her political capital? She never invested in that, right? She started with her friends, family, and favorites very, very early. And so now, where do you go? She squandered the goodwill she went into that office with. Did a pack of nonsense, pursuing parking meter with some the parking meter was never the problem in and of itself, but the exorbitant cost that thing was going to be on the backs of citizens. The AG office, not Ubraj Narayan, did the study of that contract and came back with some damning fines. It wasn't Ubraj, right? Ubraj didn't put her up to fly to Mexico how many times, you see, to sign that albatross around the neck of the citizens of Georgetown. She did that in her own deliberate judgment, and she got the reward for it. And now you're coming after Ubraj, right? And that is why when you go into the corporate world, and that is how City Hall and other place should operate. You have one team coming in rather. The honorable thing to do is move up the scene. A new leader has to have space to operate. But you see, Chase Green never went too far in school. In industrial psychology, the late Chancellor of the Judiciary, Justice Aubrey Bishop, taught us that. There's something called the Rebecca complex. It was based on a novel. A man had an ex-wife, and the new wife, he wanted her to be exactly like Rebecca. She couldn't do nothing to please him the way Rebecca did whatever she did. You see? And that is a complex in leadership. You're always trying to hold the other person who's coming in, like the previous leader. A new leader has to have space to become, you see. And she sit down there undermining Ubraj every step of the way. How do you think she went over to the PPP? Giving away secrets, giving away political information. You think it's just one day when local government come, she walk over? It's long. She whispering things to the PPP in that council, undermining Ubraj. And so if Ubraj failed, it's because of people like her who weren't playing part of the team, undermining him at City Hall.
Sure, I don't know if I can come after you, but I think you laid it out very clearly what your problem is. And in politics, you don't ever there's certain things that you think you know, but then when you have humans involved, anything is possible. And I just hope that the current mayor understands his role and is given the space, as you said, to be able to come into himself as mayor of the city of Georgetown. In spite of what may be around him, I hope that he recognizes what he should be doing, and he reaches out, and if it is needed, to be able to ensure that he does what is required and what the people of the city need him to do in this time.
Tabitha, at every step of the way, I want the public to understand it. Ubraj Lorraine, by the very person he is, drew people to him, as against Shane Green. By the very person he is. Ubraj treated his deputy mayor far better than Chase Green treated her deputy mayor, yours truly. Far better, because he was a people's person through and through. I sat next to the woman for 3 years in that council. I understand the nature of the beast. Anybody who pummeled, anybody who criticized the PPP the way Chase Green did in her tenure as mayor, in her 20 plus years on the council, should be ashamed. Tabitha, I'd rather come out of politics completely and move to Alaska, move to Antarctica before I join the PPP. You understand me? But when you got shame, when cockroach eat out your conscience and you're heartless, that is what you do. That is what you got no political compass, so you go any place. And definitely you got no moral compass, so to come here and you call in Ubraj incompetent, you signed one of the worst. The PPP said that one of the worst contracts that was ever signed in the history of this world. You signed it, and you call in Ubraj incompetent. You see the hypocrisy here? You see the hypocrisy? I know the nature of the beast. I sat next to the woman. I saw her dealings. What came before council? What didn't come before council? So the common now you're casting stones. And Ubraj again displayed leadership. He couldn't run for a third term as mayor, right? And he didn't take councillor to go and undermine the people who are there. He came out. He said, I've served my time and I'm pulling back. He and there undermining people, He and there saying, oh, I could do it differently. And even the current mayor, Mr. Mentor as a new leader there as mayor would need the same space to grow in that role, to make his own mistake, to have his own successes as mayor as well, without having somebody like her there undermining him every step of the way. And she should have moved up the scene and give Ubraj, if you can't be part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And she became part of the problem at City Hall. Because she was helping the young mayor, being that kind of leader. She had an opportunity to be that kind of leader, guiding him in the right direction, seeking to help. But from day one, she sought to undermine him. And that's a travesty. And that will be part of her legacy too. That's will be part of her legacy.
You see, people...
Go ahead,
It's good to vent sometimes, but yes, people are who they are. And it's obvious that she has a lot of limitations, and her agenda was not about the people. And so that is coming through and people are seeing it. And so maybe she has nowhere else to go. And so she has to remain right there because, as you said, she didn't do much with her tenure to allow her to even move up from that position to something higher after mayorship. What do you do next? And so we will have to contend with her because she's on the council. But my hope is that she will continue to speak. But my hope is that the current mayor recognizes what is happening and knows how to maneuver the current space that he is in.
Well, you should understand by now the Judas is he got around the horseshoe table to deal with and how to deal with them. And really and truly, how to deal with them. But that being said, Tabby, another interesting letter we saw in this morning's paper, another letter to the editor. Got to see Naomi. Naomi says, breathe Sherrod and drink his Starbucks. I sat there and I was vilified by this very same woman for fighting on behalf of the people. I didn't want to be the odd man out. But when we saw that parking meter contract and read it, no sane person could support it. No sane person. And she charged with all of that. She was supposed to go back as mayor of Georgetown. You see? And now she's so jealous of how Ubraj is received by the vendors, the heartbeat of this city, the small business people, the entrepreneurs, the big business people as well. Citizens of Georgetown in general. Anywhere he goes, he gets a hero's welcome. That is because he's a man of the people. It's just who he is. He's not a pretend. He's not a false pretender. And so she vexed. And still, the man has given them the space. She's still rowing with him, that's how better she be. The man gone with the business, living the life. And she's still rowing. Oh, he this, he that, the Tara, and the next. You see? But while we're looking at this,
in other news,
by David Noel, we saw another interesting letter. As I said, I see some folks saying here, led by Naomi, calm down, Sharon, and drink your Starbucks. This one is by, this letter to the editor is by one Aubrey Rettimeyer. You may know him. Aubrey Rettimeyer. He said Jagger has taken over the leadership of Guyana from Irfan Ali. Isn't that the third term? Right?
Yeah. Well, actually, it might be the fourth term.
Fifth term.
He got the third term on the Ramatar.
So Correct is right. You see, you're my political elder. You see, I bow to your wisdom, Tabby. In this letter, Aubrey Rettimeyer says, this is Irfan Ali's, his One Guyana plan, which is not a new concept and did not originate with him or the PPP, speaks of his efforts to maintain peace and stability in the country. However, I think Aubrey put it better than Irfan probably could have put it. However, the honcho and de facto president, who is in his fifth term, thank you, Tabby, as president, is not only stifling Irfan's efforts, but undermining his progress as well. Aubrey Rettimeyer.
Yes, and the thing is whether or not the current actual elected president understands what is happening, and whether or not he will make effort to ensure that it doesn't continue, or whether he likes it that way. You see, there's a space when you require your elder to be there to guide you. Then at some point you want to show that you can do the job. And so it's whether or not the current president, Irfan Ali, has reached the stage where he has had enough of the elder holding his hand through the process, and whether he is ready to take it on for himself. And we will see whether or not anything comes of that, because the reality is everybody recognizes it. So he must also recognize it, that Jagdio's in charge. He has taken over the leadership, but not just he's not just leader of the party, but he's leader of the country. And as a man, I'm not a man, but as a man, it must rub you the wrong way when everybody thinks that you're not in charge, even though you're holding the office and you have the name tag as president of the Republic of Guyana. So let's see whether or not he is going to recognize that he has the authority and the space to be able to say, well, I'm in charge and I need to be able to, to show that I am really running the ship. And whether Jagdeo too will decide to go into the background. I'm not sure that he likes too much of the background work. I think he likes to be front and center. So I don't know how the two will fare at the end. We have an
He like a
elections in
different kind of
2025.
background work, but we can get to that at another time. He ain't gonna fail any background, Gabby. He is not the kind of person. The man is so pompous and full of himself. He's not. And anytime everyone could never have the power when somebody bestow it and appoint he. He could never have the power. And now he get into big free boots. And Jagdio has to upstage him to let him know where he is. You see, let him know his place. That is why he was stand up taking notes at the meeting between Jagdio and the UK former Prime Minister, Tony Blair, in State House. Jagdio State House more than Irfan. We hear that Jagdio sleeps in the presidential suite, Irfan in a guest bedroom at the Bakin area. That's the kind of foolishness happening in this country. And so, Retimai is absolutely correct that Jagdio has taken over. And even when we go to some of the recent utterings in this press conference, Enid Elliott, Amabel Clement, you can see Amabel, Forbes, Medusa, you can see, the man is taking over, right? And as we said last night, who did God wish to destroy? The first made mad. Because here he is talking about what is he talking about here? That it's Ali can dictate constitutional issues. I don't know the constitution talks about this, but when it comes to issues of engaging the opposition and power sharing, that's party business. I don't know which part of the Constitution says that.
It is fine.
The Constitution says we have an executive president who is capable, who has the capability to make certain decisions, to engage. So I don't know how Jagdio coming in one day, he wants to revise the whole Constitution. But again, Aubrey Retimaya is absolutely correct that Irfan is not his own man. And that's why he's always angry. It's two reasons I heard he's angry. You see that weight loss thing? We hear with the kind of surgery that Irfan did. We got stapled his stomach and all of that. Yes, be hungry, steady, and vexed that he can't eat. We consulted the expert. So that's one reason why, because we asking the experts, why is this man always upset? They said, you see that weight loss thing? It's trouble. That weight loss thing is trouble. So listen to what Jagdio said about Ali not being in control, party. And when he talked about party, I think, Tabby, you touched on it. He's really talking about he. I decided on that. He can talk about constitutional issues as far as I want him to talk about it. But these things about engaging the opposition and national government and power sharing, you better know yourself. Take a look, folks. Take a listen.
President Ali has made it clear he will meet any time with the opposition when the matters relate to the performance of his constitutional duties as president. But if you want to talk power sharing, etc., you got to talk to the People's Progressive Party about this. And our position has been clear. Our position has been clear on this matter. That is why we put a paper out in the past. We're not going to be duped. We're not starry-eyed. We know what it's about. You have to demonstrate exclusion, and you cannot demonstrate exclusion by a PPP government, because Afro-Guyanese have made the most progress, as all of Guyana has made, on the PPP governments, and we can demonstrate that.
Tabby.
He's putting President Ali to his place there, letting him know quite frankly that yes, you may have some constitutional responsibilities, but you do not have the ability to make any decisions. And even you have to question whether or not he really has responsibility of those constitutional stuff as well. And it's when you listen to Jagdio there, it's obvious that he's trying to let everybody know that he is in charge, and he would let persons know whether or not they can jump and how high they can jump. And at this particular point, he doesn't see the interest in power sharing, and so Ali does not have a right to even have any discussion on power sharing, because as far as he's concerned, it is not important. There's another part about the fact of how different groupings have fared under the tenure of the PPP. But the reality is that Jagdio, and I think it's a matter of insecurity, because there is knowing that you're in control without having to let the public know that you're in control. The types of leaders, they're leaders who can be in the background. They know that they're helping to push a decision or a policy in one direction or the other, but you stay in the background and you do your work. But the fact that he has to come to the front and let it be known that he's actually the one that is making the decisions and Ali doesn't have the right to think out for himself, it's a sense of insecurity on Jagdio's part and why it is he feels he needs to go that particular route. So I'm trying to figure out what exactly is going on internally in the PPP that Jagdio feels he needs to come out in this particular manner, so strong against one power sharing and letting Irfan and the entire public and the international community know that Irfan is not really in charge.
I think you put things in context here, Tabby, because again, for those who are new to this discussion, those who are just joining us, it was Gordon Mosley who had this interview recently with Sarah and Lynch, and they talked about the U.S. being ready to be an honest interlocutor between opposition and government, bridging that divide there. Jagdio ran out and said, there is no divide. We're inclusive. Ali never agreed to let the Americans, or the Americans never offer. So Sarah spoke. Sarah's never come and clarified her statement. Irfan spoke. He never clarified his statement. But here is Jagdio. He ran out. Jagdio is a junior vice president, Mark Phillips has never held a press conference in his life and will never hold one. And they expect us to believe this puppy show that really and truly Irfan is president and Jagdio just helping out. He like engine room work, right? Listen to what he said on that note, Tabby and others viewing us this morning, while you share the live and smash that emoji button for us. He said, no offer was made, so Ali ain't got to do nothing. Take a look, guys, and take a listen.
All week long, I see a big debate about President Ali not accepting the U.S. offer. This is not a U.S. offer. This is Gordon Mosley trying to get the ambassador over and over to say, the U.S. would help. And who would say, which person, if asked, are you going to be helpful in trying to bring people together? What would they say? No. They would say yes. It's a courtesy. But there's no offer to do that, but they made it look like Ali rejects some offer from the U.S. government. And suddenly, the haters of Sarah Lynch have suddenly found her to be this glowing, wonderful ambassador who's promoted joint government, and now this big bad Ali has now rejected the offer from the U.S. This is how narratives get reworked. This is what is happening all the time, and it's a clever reworking of the same sort of issue over and over and over again, not deviating from it. It isn't that the U.S. government says you must include APNU in your government. The U.S. government has never said that about inclusion of APNU in the executive. They would not recommend that because they have, between the Democrats and the Republicans, even more entrenched differences. They wouldn't even, they have not recommended that to us in any one of the engagements we have had. They've moved.
Stanley and Glenford, Naomi, Edward, Amabel. Why is he so worried? Is he running point now for the American embassy? Is he running PR for the American embassy? He's now coming and qualifying. Did he and Sarah talk and Sarah say, you go there and make things right? What's happening?
What is happening, Sherrod? He is recognizing that the tide has turned. He's recognizing that things are no longer in his favor. And everybody is going against the narrative that he has been trying to push for the last 3 years. That nobody is buying it, that everybody recognizes that things are going a direction that they don't like, whether it is the locally, even persons who may have voted for them in 2020 are having issues with the way in which they're governing. Then we have a lot of civil society organizations that are very much against what they are seeing, and the international community is not happy. And I think what the outgoing ambassador with God Mosley did was push another, conversation into the discussion, and I don't think he was appreciative of what she said, because I think sometimes we don't really understand what happens when an ambassador speaks, because she's not speaking for herself. Everything that she says is what is coming from her home country, which is the United States. And her making that statement is an indication to the government that something needs to change. And they're realizing that, but they don't want to go in the direction that is being suggested. And so he's coming out to push back, recognizing that his narrative is no longer being accepted by those who he wants to accept it.
But who is he to say, Sarah didn't really mean this? Sarah mean... I mean, I see someone says this, Borg got me look stressed. He should be paying Borg rent, not Sue paying he rent. He should be paying Borg rent. Karen Clark says Borg got him look stressed. It's true, Karen. It's very, very true. Those whom the gods wish to destroy, the first made mad. Never heard such madness in one press conference. Moving on, folks. Moving on. We do have other issues to discuss this morning. Some of the things making the headline this morning. Tabitha said they spent $600 million in road works along the Linden-Suzdijk Highway. Like, we got a parallel highway running, so because I can't see the $600 million. That's like a new highway. Like, I see this money. Friends, family, favorites. Got to be, Tabby. Got to be. I like the look.
Where exactly did they spend this money? No, seriously, where exactly did they spend this money? The person. I'm just trying to go back in my mind, because I have traveled there quite recently, and I'm trying to figure out if there's a particular part that was done that I don't know where the $600 million was spent. Let me just say that. I don't know what they're talking about. They have to show where they spent that $600 million, because that number alone, I don't know where they spend that.
Correct. We used to have some fairly small budgets, and used to make do. You see, Burnham did that whole highway. We had oil and gas. You see, 600 million. And that highway now, it needs work. It needs repair. It has served a long time. It needs some work. But $600 million spent on the highway. $600 million thief for the highway project. But $600 million spent there. And while they're talking about that, Tabby, also in this morning's paper, they said more funds they've withdrawn from the Natural Resource Fund to advance development initiatives. Now, this is how they're really thieving, They never come and say specifically what they're spending this money on and how much, you see? But to advance development initiative. You take it however you want to take it.
You see, and this was our issue in Parliament when we were, the last budget and this current budget, when we were asking them exactly where the monies that they're going to take from the resource fund, what activities, what projects these monies were going to go to. And no one could answer. Every time you asked one minister, they said, well, they're not the minister to answer that question. And then when you got to the finance minister, or the minister with responsibility for finance, he was saying, well, it is in the budget. It passed. Those are all of the things that we were discussing over the last couple of days. So no one quite knows exactly where the Natural Resource Fund money is being spent, but it's advancing development initiatives. And I think we need to have something a bit more structured in place. There was actually a Natural Resource Fund report from the board quite recently, and I went through it, and it was exactly like that statement. A lot of numbers and words, but nothing specific that lets you know exactly what they're doing with the monies. I read it again to try to see whether I missed something, but there is nothing that tells us that this is where the money is going to go, and this is what the money is going to fund. And a proper assessment and auditing of that money that has already been received from the fund. So I don't expect anything new or different. They're going to continue to utilize their money, and we won't know where exactly the money is going.
Chabi, I want our viewers and listeners to understand that it was the David Granger administration that put in place the framework from which the PP is benefiting now with oil monies. They didn't invent that. They came and met a natural resource fund bill ready made for them. They gutted that bill for the accountability aspect of it, because in that bill, the Natural Resource Fund Board had to specify what this money was going to be spent on, how much money was going to be spent on whatever project. They don't want that. Jagdio don't want that. And so they took all of that out. And so now they can come and just say developmental initiatives, right? Which means just for them more to sue in the living room.
And another aspect of it that was gutted was the investment part, because what the board members were also supposed to do was supposed to look at the monies and see what they can invest some of those monies in, so that they can bring back returns to the country. So right now, the money is sitting in an account and not invested in a way in which that you can also get some more profit off of the money that we're earning. And so that is a serious issue, because you're just spending money from the fund and not recognizing that part of that money can actually go to earn some more money for the country. And so I don't understand what the role of the board is. It seems as though it's just a board to say that they have one, and that would probably just sign off on things that the minister already agreed to, or the president, or whoever it is that is actually in charge. But they're not really doing the work that should be required of a board of such a fund.
Yeah. I'm very amazed that Joe Singh would take on this tenure, knowing that they're really calling the shots. But that being said, we learned this morning as well, Tabby, that those sugar workers who were arrested recently, they were put under some very dehumanizing conditions. They were stripped. We're being told they were beaten, and all of that during that process. As Kemraj Ramjatan said, Freedom House is in this mistreatment and dehumanizing treatment of our sugar workers.
And the question is why? See, the question is, why would they go to this road? You see, there is this perception, and this is why Jack Joe is so concerned. The reality is that a lot of people are recognizing that the PPP is not really interested in investing and helping the people of the country. And when you think you have control of a certain section of the population, and that section of the population is raising up and saying that, no, you're not in control of us, that we have issues that we need to be dealt with, then you will find, if it is that you're of the Jagdio ilk, then your response would be to be as harsh as possible to try to put them back in their place. And that is what that is about. It's an attempt to let the sugar workers know who is in charge, and I'm hoping the sugar workers don't fall for that. We have to. There has to come a time when we recognize that enough is enough, and we push forward in spite of all of the odds that are against us.
Apologies there. True and correct, Tabby. True and correct. And they'll have an opportunity, to speak to that issue, the sugar workers, that is. A time will come, then go in a ballot box and a polling place, and we hope they make the right decision. Because
people are trying to move on, Sharon. People are trying to move on with their lives.
Yeah.
You can't hold people down forever. And
correct.
I saw that the part of the charges it was terrorism.
Yeah. They want to dissuade others from pursuing that course. So you mustn't protest. Protest is only legal when they are in office. You see, don't we miss the Granger administration? Could you imagine a rubber bullet and fire in 5 years, a water cannon used in 5 years, tear gas canisters unused in 5 years? People could protest. You see, till them tried to upturn Minister Karen Cummins' vehicle outside of Pegasus. There was real nice times. Crime was going down, piracy going down, right? Governments be doing bilateral agreements with actually honoring them. We're still waiting for the catfish deal to come through. We're still waiting on the licenses from Suriname. 3 years in, you see. Was a good time. Was a good time every year. Teachers, public servants, nurses, doctors getting a steady increase in the salary. People with old age pension complaining 3 years in, they're still waiting for certain promises that were made. Sugar workers every day suffering, industry dying, nothing working under them boys, and they don't know why. Perhaps that's why they vex all the time. Perhaps that's why Jagyo vex all the time. And because why isn't this thing working? Why people are buying this false narrative that they want to sell that this is little Dubai and everything nice?
But you see, we're in a different era, Sherrod. One, there's way too much ways for people to get information, and two, people are living it. You can probably try to sell the propaganda to people overseas, but if you're living it on the ground here in Guyana, it's kind of hard to tell people that you're eating sugar when you're eating salt. You know, so I don't know how far Ajagjo is going to try to go with this particular narrative, but I think he's recognizing that it's not working.
That's what he was doing recently, you know, by saying, it's Gordon. It's Gordon. It's not the ambassador. Why are you waiting for the clap back? Are you waiting for the clap back? That being said, folks, we want to turn your attention to some of the things we are following internationally this morning. Russia is going to be holding some elections in some of those occupied territory in the Ukraine. Of course, what they're trying to do here is show effective occupation, and some of those territories there that they currently occupy is being fought for as we speak. But this is what's happening on that front there. Yeah.
Interesting. Russia is trying to show that it has gotten something from Ukraine, and so now they're holding elections.
Yeah. Something is better than nothing.
I have a feeling that this is going to be an ongoing thing. I don't see this ending anytime soon. One way or the other, somebody will have to make some amount of compromise, and I don't see Russia making any. I don't know where Ukraine will go, but this is going to be an ongoing problem.
Let's see what happens. Regionally, folks, Hurricane Lee, they're telling us, has developed into a Category 5 storm. Last season, we told you, Trinidad was saying that they missed, they dodged the bullet, you know, they're out of the eye of the storm. But Hurricane Lee forecasters are saying has developed into Category 5 storm in the Caribbean. And anchor down, brothers and sisters in the Caribbean region, anchor down. Storm is upon us.
Did it say which direction it is likely to head?
I'm not too certain. No, I'm not too certain. Sorry, I don't have that information. It might be available.
Yeah, I was just wondering because normally it comes to the Caribbean and it goes to some part of the coast of the United States. I'm trying to figure out if it's going to go towards Florida or towards the Louisiana end. But yes,
once it doesn't go to Georgia or Washington D.C. right now.
I hear you, my dear.
Once you don't touch those two places, we're good to go. And while we're discussing that, a very fresh teacher in Trinidad and Tobago, as we're talking about the region, lured a primary school pupil, to his residence on the pretext of giving the student a massage. But whether pretext or otherwise, this is very, very, very bad news and things that teachers should not do. Another example of things teachers should not do. Said, lure this pupil there. The teacher was recently arrested at school, and rightfully so, for this. I think part of the charges, I'm trying to find my notes, is touching an underage child or something of that nature. You know?
And what I would like for parents to also notice that you should always have open conversations with your children on these matters. Always engage them after school, get a sense of what happened, question them, get a sense of what happened in school today, what happened in all aspects, so you get a sense of, if anything is happening that shouldn't be happening. It may not be this, but it may be something that you may need to look into. So when your children come home from school, listen to them. They may be trying to tell you something. Don't brush them aside because you may be busy. You need to hear what is happening in school so that you can make sure that you're protecting your child as much as you can, even if they have to go into the school system. You're never sure who is there. So you always have to have a listening ear when they get home.
Yeah. Tabby, this arrest of the teacher took place on Wednesday. The teacher is 47 years old, and the offense, as I said, is for sexual touching of a child. The arrest of the teacher was made in the compound of the primary school in Chaguanas, and it was carried out by officers of the Child Protection Unit of the Central Police Division. Yep, sexual touching of a child. There are some weird people, you know. Weird people. I don't know.
Yeah, they have all kinds in the world, and so you have to just do your best to look after your child and look after your children around you. So just we have to keep our eyes open, keep our ears open,
Yeah.
and be on the alert, and never take it for granted that the child is safe. Once you're out of your eyesight, and even sometimes in your eyesight, you still have to be extra careful. So always keep your guards up where children are concerned.
Well said, Abby. We've been following this for some time now. We've been telling you of the fires of the PPP, and it seems as though some of the other news agencies are now catching up to where we are. We saw Newsroom reporting that incidences of fires have doubled in 2023, and that so far 42 dead as a result of fire. 42, right? 42.
We're finally getting some data.
Yep. Believe it or not, but fires doubled. I think 42 is a conservative number. Honestly, I think 42. The amount of fires we've had for the year, the amount of deaths we've heard related to fire, I think it's much higher than that. And I would think even fires, I think it tripled. Every day, a house, a business, something goes up in flames.
Something goes up.
Right? And you know what? We live in it, so it doesn't seem strange. Right? It doesn't seem strange, but this would be fascinating in any other part of the world. How in one little place like that, right? You know, we're not living in all that 83,000 squares. We live in a small portion of it. Most of the rest of it is forest. How in that little 2x4 then? All of these fires, right? There's something to be said about that. Something to be said about that.
A lot to be said about that, Cheryl, but we can't get into that here. But just guys, just be careful and stay safe. Because apparently the government don't seem to find it important.
Yep. So those of you people of faith, you know what you gotta do, eh? Because I think it's beyond the government. You know? It's
True.
beyond the government, right? And I'm talking to you people who are of good faith. Because one man professing that he got faith and so on, styled himself as a bishop, archbishop, and all of that. And spirits apparently had in some others right now the burial ground. So he's not a people that you can rely on, right? But these kind of fires, not natural at all. Not natural. Time to see you trying to keep a straight face. The folks there, the secretary of the COI, and to the Madhya fire, the school fire there that killed another fire, 20 of our young people, they're promising that this CY is going to be completed on time. Now, for me, this is neither here nor there. What we want is a proper CY to be done. That's what we want, right? I'm hearing that some attorney who was there negotiating with the parents for this 5 million settlement per child is also representing now the COI. It's only in this country, you know. It's only in this country you'd have this madness. Right? So on time or overtime, let justice be done. That's the main thing. Right? Let justice be done. You know, I got great respect for Joe Singh, but like Joe Singh in everything, man. He like corn or ginger.
I got to ask the corn is being everything.
Corn,
But,
everything.
no, but it's this thing that our colleague Cameron Ramjatan speaks about, this control freakism thing. Why is it that they feel a need to be in complete control of everything? If it is that you seriously want an investigation to be done to, one, get to the bottom of what exactly transpired, and also get recommendations as how to better so that it does not happen again, why is it that you feel that you need to be in control of the whole process? Isn't there another way that you can get that information? So it is almost as if they want to ensure the outcome is a particular outcome. And so they're not really interested in the truth. They're not really interested in the facts. They're not really interested in proper recommendations that would help the country and help the people and help students and help the indigenous community. What they're interested in is making themselves look good at all costs. And no matter how it would affect anybody else, once they look good, that is all they're interested in. And that is a very bad place for a government to be, because if your interest is only in looking good for yourself, that means that you're negating the importance and the interest of the rest of the population. And then that means that the population's views, perspectives, lives are not a priority for you. And I don't think that is what we need as a country at this particular point, or at any point, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and we have to get to the bottom of this. Tabby, I said before and I said again, that site there, nothing should be there but a monument built to the memory of these children. But if you know the PPP, they will want a constant reminder that 20 children die on day watch. We don't hear about the kids who we lost to. Is it dengue? About 6 or 7 kids we lost, right? And they won't want that reminder at all. But in any other country where 20 children lost their life, they will have a memorial there. And I don't think that you should have students, because there's a boys' dorm there too on that site at Mario. You should have people living there, temporary or permanent. The guard, when I went up there during local government elections, I spoke with a security guard who was crying profusely. She said every day she got to work there, she's reminded of these children. She hears the screams. You see?
They should really relocate that entire space. They should really relocate the school and everything from that site, because it will be a traumatic event that people will have to relive every time they go there. So it's not a conducive place for learning.
Interestingly, Tabby, the school and the dorms are not in the same location. The school on the main road, and then you gotta go kind of like in a kind of side street to get to the dorms area. So they're lucky in that sense. It's just the boys and the girls dorm are the only two things in that compound.
In that location.
Yeah, but that should really be a monument to the lives that were lost there. But you see, with the kind of administration that we have, remember, these are the people who take the bricks. You know, those have become sacred stones, and they're filling potholes there. We heard that dogs were pulling bones out of the rubble there down the road in Madia. Madness. Any other part of the world, you gotta see how I starting. People done went and blocked down the whole place, throw away the bricks and all that. But you have an investigation that is going to be ensuing. It's absolute madness.
Yeah. And I heard that I think the lawyer of one of the girls was asking for them to have a stay on the COI until they deal with the legal matters concerning the young lady. And I think that too was also that they're going ahead with the COI in spite of it. Because the young lady that they said was the person that caused the fire, she has a lawyer, of course. And they were trying to, the same thing with the case of the elections, where they decided to do a COI into the elections and what happened in the elections process when there are cases in court that are dealing with whether or not persons were actually doing something that was fraudulent. And there was a lot of talk about the fact that there should not be a COI when there are matters before the court, if that wouldn't be a conflict of interest, and what you call sub judice and all of those things, but they still went ahead with a COI. It's the same thing again here, where there is a young lady who was accused of causing the fire, and her lawyer is saying, well, since this is a matter that may still be in the court or still will reach the court, maybe we should take a breather on the COI until we get through this matter and then come to the COI. But the COI is continuing nevertheless.
Yeah, and interestingly, so you have that happening, and you have the fact that they already negotiate with the family for $5 million per child, and then there can be no future litigation. So what's the purpose of the COI if the government is found culpable? Right?
But the government can't be found culpable. How would the government be found culpable? You see, they put every system in place to ensure that it goes in there. Right?
Yeah, very interesting. As we are closing up the program, we learned also that the government has just sent a response back to, let me make sure I get it right, the Inter-American Committee, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights on the Chinese landing issue. It'd be very interesting to know what is in that response. I'm certain it says everything all right.
Yeah, well, they said that they're going to release it soon. So we await that release so that we can read it to see exactly what the government's take on it. But based on how they're operating, they seem to be on a different trajectory than the people that actually live in Chinese landing and the people that have the issues. So we await the actual publishing of the report.
Everything all right. Folks, that's going to do it for our time here. Sheila Boyd Child, Irwin Don Cook, Yolanda Thomas, Brenda Bullers. Good to have you, Beryl Crawford. And I love the name Beryl for some reason. And it Cummins, folks don't have these beautiful names now, you know. They don't. You know, they always got a name like Tabitha and so on. No, Magnell
Good
Barrow,
morning, Maxine.
Veronica Innes, Bossman. Good to have all of you on the live this morning, folks. Good to have you folks on the live. Well, it's Friday, and so it's our final morning show for the week. We hope that you guys have a fantastic weekend, like we say on the morning, on the weekends rather. Get some time for you, get some time for your family, friends, loved ones, but mostly get some time for you.
Yes. Try and enjoy your weekend. It's so for some people it's too short. Then Monday morning, which is people are still upset that it's Monday morning, but find some time for yourself to relax, to recuperate, to do some introspection, what you may or may not have done following the past week.
Tabby, well, here's story now, right? Tabitha is a Bible name. See that?
Yes, it is.
Tabitha is a Bible name. And then we got this cutthroat one. This is Anna Cummings saying Tabitha is a Bible name. Then we got this cutthroat one, Sheila Boyd Child. Sharon, leave Tabby alone. This cutthroat one, Sheila Boyd Child. Stanley George is here. Donna Ratchbally is here too. Donna Ratchbally. Folks, have a great weekend. We can see you guys back here next week. Chanel Beresford and all the other cutthroat. Magna Barron, and by Sharon, you know, by Tabitha. Like I shark. Like I'm not even here. I'm not even here.
Goodbye. It was good being with you guys.
Like I'm not even here.
It's good being with you guys. I may not be with you as often.
Young and Tabby blushing, swinging in the chair, all kinds of words. Take over, Tabby. Over to you, folks.
No, I'm saying that I wouldn't be as regular as I was over the last 2 weeks.
I want to know that. It's really got to deal with you.
So you have to contend with Sharon more often.
It's really got
but
to
it was good being with you.
Next week, it's really got to deal with. Tabby has her chores. She got kids to get to school. She got a husband to look after, house to keep, work to do. So Tabby's going to be in and out with us. But we can have a good time when she's here, when she's not here. We might have some other folks dropping by too. Tabby, thank you so much for being with us and looking forward to, you know, a little bit of Tabby is better than none of Tabby at all. So we can take what we get and wait for what we want. Have a fantastic weekend, folks.
Have a good week, guys. Good weekend. Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend. Dolly Anderson says, love you, girls. Stay safe. I'm not even here. Have a great weekend, folks.